Before we loved comics, we loved cartoons. And the more over-the-top action, the more we loved it. Unfortunately, a lot of the old classics don't hold up very well these days. Thundercats, He-Man, it's super cringe. Pretty much unwatchable. Two classic cartoons that we consider timeless happen to be forever intertwined in time, the Hasbro-powered Transformers, and its sometimes in-universe brother, G.I. Joe. While still awesome to this day, G.I. Joe displayed a level of combat chicanery that made stormtroopers look like champion marksmen. Both Cobra and the Joes were terrible shots, made worse by the ridiculously close range in a lot of the firefights that take place across the series. It's wild stuff. One reason G.I. Joe is so awesome is due to the presence of none other than Cobra Commander himself. Now in the show, the Sunbow-produced series that many of us grew up on, Dude is a cowardly goofball. Maniacal, brilliant, but not always an imposing figure. In the comic book universe, Cobra, as I like to call him, comes across as a much deadlier threat. In fact, his dastardly deeds are on par with some of the worst terrorists in comic book history. On that note, let's investigate some of the more nefarious crimes of the incomparable Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander made his debut in the 1982 G.I. Joe series published by Marvel Comics. In many ways, he's the prototypical villain. A batshit, egotistical son of a bitch who wants to rule the world. I think what sets Cobra apart is how serious he takes this mission, and the length he's willing to travel in order to see it to fruition. Little is known about the origins of the man in the Marvel continuity. Even his name is unknown. We do, however, know the event that sparked his lust for vengeance and violence. He was a used car salesman when his older brother, Dan, died in a car crash caused by drunk driving. Triggered by the loss, he became consumed by a strong desire for revenge. He focused his attention on the surviving son of the family involved in the accident, a soldier known as Snake Eyes. Tracking Snake Eyes to Japan, the future Cobra Commander hired the mercenary Firefly to eliminate him. However, Firefly realized he was outmatched and redirected his potential client to another assassin, Zartan. Zartan infiltrated the Arashikage ninja clan and attempted to kill Snake Eyes using an arrow stolen from the ninja, Storm Shadow. Tragically, the arrow struck the clan's leader, Hard Master, instead. Storm Shadow, blamed for the murder, fled in search of the true killer, ultimately finding his way by the commander's side as a member of the terrorist organization known as Cobra Command, or Cobra. Cobra Commander is unhinged on a good day, but what really drove him over the edge was the constant push from within. There were numerous Cobra coups designed to unseat the leader for his reckless ways, some of which were successful. With the arguably even more unhinged Serpenter running the organization, the former commander was forced into hiding while fighting battles on multiple fronts. It was during this time that he discovered that his son, Billy, was still alive. Yes, Cobra had a whole ass family out here. Although Billy had survived an explosion, he lost a leg and an eye in the process, remaining in a coma ever since. The tragedy unnerved Cobra Commander, who took responsibility for Billy's condition and vowed to be a better father. No, seriously. Seeking out the mechanical genius Crimson Guard, Fred 7, Cobra Commander set up shop in Denver, Colorado. Fred crafted a new robotic leg for Billy, who eventually awoke from his coma and seemed to be in good spirits. However, fate intervened when Billy stumbled upon the Blind Master and Jinx, the cousin of Storm Shadow, which triggered repressed memories that led to him walking out on his father. This incident forced Cobra Commander to reflect on his past actions. But Fred 7, furious at the perceived waste of his life's work, shot Cobra Commander in the back, apparently killing him. Unbeknownst to old Fred, another Crimson Guardsman, Fred 8, later exhumed Cobra Commander's body and discovered that he was still alive. Meanwhile, Fred 7, now masquerading as Cobra Commander, secretly began forming a new organization behind the scenes. When Dr. Mindbender attempted to harvest DNA from Cobra Commander's supposed grave for yet another genetic leader, he found an empty coffin. Seizing the opportunity, Cobra Commander returned to Cobra with renewed mania, harboring no tolerance for traitors. He imprisoned those who had betrayed him, burying them alive within a volcano on Cobra Island. Abandoning all morality and humanity, he instituted a brainwashing program to ensure unwavering loyalty from those around him, including the Baroness, Destro, Zartan, Storm Shadow, and even Billy himself. Damn. He also took a more hands-on approach to dishing out punishment, even taking it upon himself to murder Borovian rebels Magda and the White Clown. Devil's Due introduced several key revisions to Cobra Commander's origin story. Following the tragic loss of his brother, the future commander embarked on a quest for justice. His path intersected with that of Snake Eyes, a soldier and survivor of the same family tragedy. Their fateful encounter occurred in a dimly lit bar, where Cobra Commander saved Snake Eyes from an oncoming truck. Their bond deepened as they roamed from state to state, assuming the roles of vigilantes. But one pivotal night would alter their destinies forever. Cobra Commander led Snake Eyes to the doorstep of a corrupt judge, a man responsible for the shared hardships. Years earlier, this judge had presided over a case involving Cobra Commander's brother, Dan, who managed a veterans hospital. Tragically, the hospital had been consumed by flames, and the judge controlled it as mere insurance fraud. Dan lost everything, spiraling into despair and alcoholism, which ultimately led to the fatal crash that claimed both his life and the lives of Snake Eyes' family. In a moment of clarity, Snake Eyes confronted the darkness within himself. He refused to take the judge's life, recognizing that vengeance would only perpetuate the cycle of pain. Walking away from the scene, he unknowingly set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of their intertwined lives. Cobra Commander, however, harbored no such restraint. Consumed by rage and grief, he executed the judge himself. In that act of vengeance, he vowed retribution against Snake Eyes, an oath that would echo through the tumultuous history, shaping their rivalry and defining their roles in the ongoing battle between G.I. Joe and Cobra. In the America's Elite series, which follows the Devil's Due G.I. Joe continuity, Cobra Commander has reclaimed leadership after personally killing Serpenter in the culmination of the Cobra Civil War. But that doesn't mean all is peach and creamy. Cobra Commander, wielding his control over MARS weapons, which he gained in an uncomfortable exchange with Destro, orchestrates global conflict in a desperate bid to seize dominion over the world. In response, G.I. Joe launches an aggressive campaign, rallying their entire roster and embarking on various missions to apprehend lingering Cobra agents. Simultaneously, Cobra Commander recruits soldier Nick Bailey, inducting him into a clandestine new Cobra unit known as the Plague. As the main G.I. Joe team deploys to Israel to thwart an assassination plot, Cobra Commander seizes the opportunity to strike at the heart of power. He launches an audacious assault on Washington, D.C., wresting control of the White House and capturing the president. Meanwhile, Fort Meade falls under Cobra's sway, while Alexander McCullen, leading the Iron Grenadiers, unleashes chaos upon London and France. Cobra Commander's machinations extend even to the remote reaches of Greenland, where he dispatches Tomax and a squad of night creepers to infiltrate the Coffin, a high-security prison housing G.I. Joe's captured enemies. Tomax successfully liberates Major Blood and other detainees, eliminating those Cobra Commander deems loose ends. Meanwhile, Dealer Eden, recently freed from the Coffin, receives a grim assignment: track down Destro and the Baroness, with orders to terminate them. As tensions escalate, Cobra seizes control of multiple nuclear arsenals, including one in Suffolk, England. In a chilling display of power, Cobra Commander detonates a nuclear bomb in the empty quarter, broadcasting an ultimatum to world leaders: submit to his authority or face devastating consequences. Amidst this chaos, Cobra Commander's own son, Billy, confronts him at Fort Meade, attempting to end his tyrannical reign. But the outcome is tragic. Billy falls at the hands of his father, who hangs his lifeless body from a flagpole, sending a chilling message. No one is beyond the reach of Cobra Commander, and no one is off limits. In the IDW comic series, the title of the Commander is not tied to a single individual, but rather represents a rank within the Cobra organization. Over time, several individuals have held this esteemed position, each elected and empowered by the secretive Cobra Council. The inaugural Cobra Commander was an enigmatic figure, a prominent and influential businessman who operated covertly under the mantle of the Commander. His attire diverged from the traditional military uniform, a sharp suit, tie, and a unique silver face mask. Unlike previous iterations, this version of Cobra Commander maintained an air of reclusiveness. Only a select few high-ranking Cobra operatives, including the twins Tomax and Zamet and the formidable Baroness, were privy to his existence. Cobra Commander's personality exhibited a blend of passive aggression and introspection. When the G.I. Joe spy Chuckles fell into his clutches, Cobra Commander defied convention. Rather than sanctioning Chuckles' execution, he chose an unconventional path: recruitment. By confiding in Chuckles and promising him vengeance against Zamet, Cobra Commander forged an unlikely alliance. In issue number 12 of G.I. Joe, Cobra, Zamet orchestrated a deadly scheme. His plan aimed to eliminate Cobra Commander, framing Chuckles in the process. However, the Commander proved more cunning than anticipated. Chuckles' attempt on his life failed, marking the first time a Cobra Commander faced death in action. The aftermath triggered a fierce competition within Cobra, an audacious contest to determine the next commander, overseen by the Cobra Council. The contenders vying for this coveted role included the Baroness, Dr. Vargas, Major Blood, Oda Satori, Tomax, Crake, and Raja Kalakan. The Baroness, despite her prowess, harbored doubts about her chances due to her gender. Nevertheless, she remained lethal on the battlefield, dispatching Joes with ruthless efficiency. Ultimately, it was Crake who emerged victorious. His unorthodox tactics, revealing that he had eliminated and replaced a rival with the shape-shifting Zartan, doubled his kill score. Crake's origins unfolded in the Cobra Annual 2012. Born as Tiger Eyes in Southeast Asia's Golden Triangle, he endured a childhood of labor and warfare. Major Blood bestowed upon him the name Crake, impressed by his cunning and ruthlessness. Crake's initial resistance to joining Cobra gave way to collaboration, leading to the takeover of Chinese triads. As the newly anointed commander, Crake wasted no time. His first bold move involved openly invading the Southeast Asian nation of Nanzhao, plundering its gold reserves. Simultaneously, he eradicated heroin poppy fields, an act that initially masked Cobra's true intentions. To the world, it appeared as if Cobra fought against a brutal regime and the drug trade. In reality, the move drove up the price of heroin, one of Cobra's most lucrative products. Crake's ascent to power had begun, proven when the Cobra Council met a grim fate at the hands of his agents, leaving him in full command of the organization. Dangerously unhinged, Cobra Commander embodies a spectrum of personas, from affable and charismatic to chillingly brutal and psychopathic. His charm, like a serpent's coil, twists intentions and morals, rendering his rhetoric eerily plausible and relatable to his devoted followers. He has been called an ingenious hustler, fueled by grandiose visions that only amplify his perilous allure. Unlike most dictators who feign noble causes, Cobra Commander lacks such constraints. His mission? To unravel the very fabric of society. Employing terrorism, tyranny, and economic subjugation, he seeks to dismantle existing power structures across the globe. As a fanatical leader, Cobra Commander wields an iron fist, demanding unwavering loyalty and allegiance. His personal involvement in uprisings spans the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and other global hotspots. Scientists, businessmen, and military leaders have felt the weight of his wrath, coerced into divulging the deepest secrets. Whether in dire straits or seemingly unscathed, Cobra Commander's hatred and determination only intensify, a relentless force driving him toward pure chaos and complete conquest.